The United Nations Climate Summit, known as COP27, will kick off next Sunday in Egypt. This year, the conference is sponsored by Coca-Cola. The decision has frustrated some climate activists who've slammed the company for its role in creating pollution. Among those concerns is environmental engineer Georgia Elliott-Smith, who started an online petition calling for an end to corporate sponsorship for critical climate talks. She joins us now from Seattle, Washington. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Let's talk about your reaction when you learned that Coca-Cola was sponsoring COP27.
Yes, horrified, really. I was a delegate at COP26, and even though COP26 was sponsored, it was much more low-key. And I, before then, had no idea that COP conferences were sponsored at all. I mean, I don't really see any reason why they should be. They are simply business meetings between ministers and civil servants. So yes, to find that one of the planet's biggest polluters was sponsoring this anti-pollution conference was a real shock.
Now, CBC reached out to Coca-Cola and they said that its support for COP27 is in line with its target to reduce carbon emissions and packaging waste by 2030. So what do you make of that?
Yeah. It's just the blah, 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 isn't it? I mean, Coca-Cola has a 30-year history of deceiving the public, essentially, and regulators. They made promises as far back as 1990 that 25% of their packaging would be recycled. Well, today, 32 years later, it's less than 10%. You know, that's just one example of the many ways in which they make promises that they later break, or that they lobby behind the scenes to actively derail and block anti-pollution regulation.
As you say, you were at COP26. What was your takeaway?
That COPs are not the way to solve the problem. I mean, I think the very fact that we're now on COP27 and the planet is still on fire or underwater, depending on where you are, you know, it just demonstrates to us that these conferences do not work. You know, if all of the nationally determined contributions that nations have set, so that is the targets that nations have individually set to limit their carbon emissions, even if we meet those commitments, we're still on track for a 3-degree average global temperature rise, which is catastrophic. So, you know, we need to go further, faster, and we need to hold our politicians to account.
As part of that accounting process, with this petition, you have over 200,000 signatures, which is really quite remarkable for a petition just about anywhere. How do you think it might make a difference? And have you had some signatories that might help make that difference?
Yeah, well, we have some wonderful supporters. You know, Greenpeace movements all over the world have come out in support, and many other anti-plastic and anti-pollution NGOs. I am appealing to members of parliament in the UK, and I sent out a message to all of the signatories. We've now got nearly 250,000 signatures, which is incredible. I sent out a message to all of my supporters yesterday, asking them please to write to their MPs, asking that their delegations demand the removal of Coca-Cola from these talks, because I feel like this is just it's a sort of symptom generally of greenwashing, corporate greenwashing, and the toxicity of that is that the lies that they tell that we can buy our way out of the climate crisis, you know, that if we buy certain products, then climate change won't happen, is simply not the case. You know, we need our politicians to tell the truth and act urgently. So it's got to start with the UN not taking money from major polluters. You know, they're supposed to be the grown-ups here. So it's my hope that those 250,000 signatories can really galvanise a movement. And I'm writing to the Secretary General of the United Nations to demand that Coca-Cola is removed, and also that corporate sponsors generally are removed. I don't think it's appropriate to have sponsors of these conferences.
Georgia, well, as we say, the whole world will be watching, certainly when the world leaders gather in Egypt, but you've given us a lot to think about. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Environmental engineer and activist, Georgia Elliott-Smith.